This is the story of Amina, a girl born in a forgotten mountain village where dust clung to every dream and silence carried the weight of centuries. Her home was built of mud and hope, standing on the edge of a winding dirt road that led nowhere. In her village, dawn came early, with the sound of roosters creaking buckets, and women walking to the river before the first light touched the hills. Men prepared for the fields, boys for school, but girls, like Amina, were told their future was written inside the walls of the home. Her mother worked endlessly, her hands roughened by labor, her face marked with quiet strength. Her father, though kind at heart, bowed before tradition, believing what every man around him believed, that a girl's honor was her silence. In the village, knowledge was a treasure locked away from daughters, guarded by rules older than memory. But inside Amina, something restless stirred. She watched her brothers put on clean clothes, sling bags over their shoulders, and walk proudly toward the small school on the hill. She followed them to the gate one morning, her bare feet sinking into dust, her eyes wide with longing. "Why can't I go?" she asked. Her father sighed, patting her head, saying, "Because you are a girl, my child. Girls do not need to read to live." But Amina didn't want to just live. She wanted to understand. That evening, when her brothers returned, she begged them to show her their books. They laughed, tossing them aside. When they slept, she opened one under the dim flame of an oil lamp. The letters danced before her, strange and beautiful. She traced them with her finger, whispering softly, "One day, I'll know your secret." That was the first night her dream was born. From that moment, every scrap of paper, every broken pencil became her treasure. She collected torn pages from garbage, practiced shapes in the dirt, and whispered lessons to herself, while her mother washed clothes by the river. Her mother noticed the spark in her daughter's eyes, the same spark she once had before life taught her silence. One night, she sat beside Amina and said in a trembling voice, "The world will not welcome your dream, my child. But if you must dream, dream with courage," and Amina did. Each morning, after finishing her chores, she walked to the school's fence, hiding behind bushes, listening to the lessons from afar. The teacher's voice drifted through the air, alphabets, numbers, stories, like songs from another world. Amina copied the words in the dust with a stick, her heart racing every time she understood one. One day, the teacher saw her. "Why are you standing there, little one?" he asked. "Because I want to learn," she whispered. The teacher smiled sadly. "The rules don't allow it." Those words shattered her heart, but they also built her resolve. That night, she told her mother, "If they won't let me inside, I'll learn from outside." And so she did. Rain, heat, or storm. She stood by that window every day, memorizing every sound, every word. People laughed, children mocked, but Amina never stopped. Slowly, she began to read signs, count coins, write her name. The day she wrote Amina on the ground, her mother wept silently. Not out of fear, but pride. But pride was dangerous in their world. The elders saw her and called a meeting. They said, "A girl who learns becomes wild. Stop her before she shames you." Her father tried. He shouted, forbade her, even took away her scraps of paper. Amina obeyed in silence, but at night she drew letters on her palms and whispered them before sleep so she wouldn't forget. Days passed in silence, but her hunger for knowledge grew louder. One afternoon, she saw a younger girl crying because she couldn't count money at the market. Amina took a stick and wrote numbers on the dirt, teaching her quietly. The girl smiled through tears. That smile reignited Amina's fire. She began gathering small groups of girls under an old tree by the river, teaching them whatever she remembered. It was their secret world. Laughter, learning, and light. But secrets don't stay hidden long. One evening, a villager saw them and told the elders. They called her disobedient, a curse, a danger to their daughters. Her father was humiliated. Her mother wept. They threatened to send her away. That night, Amina sat by the dying fire, heart trembling, but her mother came, holding her hand. "You can stop now and live quietly," she said, "or you can continue and change everything." Amina looked up and said, "If I stop, who will teach the next girl?" The next morning, she returned to the tree. One by one, the girls came too. The men shouted from afar, but she kept teaching. When they threw stones, she stood tall and said, "Education is not disobedience. It is freedom." Her words spread like fire through the valley. A journalist traveling through heard of her defiance and wrote a story titled "The Girl Who Taught Under the Tree." That article traveled beyond the mountains, reaching the city, then the capital, then the world. People who had never heard her name began to speak it. Weeks later, strangers arrived carrying books, pencils, and promises. Amina's village changed overnight. The government built a small school for girls. But only a few dared to come. Tradition still held chains around their hearts. But Amina kept knocking at those chains one by one until they began to break. When her father saw her teaching confidently in front of the new school, he wept. Standing before the same elders who once condemned her, he said, "My daughter did not shame us. She saved us." That moment marked a new beginning. The school grew. Girls filled its benches. Laughter replaced silence. Amina, now older, continued studying, earning scholarships, traveling to cities to learn modern teaching. She faced new challenges, loneliness, fear, self-doubt, but she never forgot the tree, the dirt, the fence. She came back stronger, armed with knowledge and purpose. She built libraries, started adult education classes, and convinced mothers to let their daughters study. Years passed. The dusty village that once silenced dreams became a place of light. Boys and girls studied together. Parents read their first words. Even elders learned to sign their names. Amina's story spread far beyond her homeland. She was invited to speak at conferences, to share her journey with leaders, educators, and dreamers. Her voice trembled the first time. She spoke on stage, but when she looked out at the audience, she saw thousands of faces waiting for hope. She said, "When I was a little girl, they told me knowledge was not for me. But I learned that ignorance is the real enemy, not tradition, not poverty, not fear. If we can teach one child, we can change one family. If we can teach one generation, we can change the world." The crowd rose in applause, but Amina's thoughts drifted back to her mother, who once whispered, "Dream with courage." She wished she could tell her she had done it, but she didn't need to. Her mother's spirit was in every book, every student, every classroom. Years later, a statue was built under that same tree. Not of a hero, not of a queen, but of a girl holding a book, her eyes looking upward toward the sky. The symbol of a revolution, born from silence. Children came from faraway villages to touch the statue and whisper, "Thank you, Amina." And somewhere beyond the mountains, in the wind that carried the laughter of learning, her story lived on. Proof that even the smallest voice, when filled with truth, can shake the foundations of ignorance. She taught the world that education is not a privilege, it is power. Not a gift, but a right. Not just letters and numbers, but the light that turns human beings into possibilities. And so, every time a girl opens her first book, every time a child writes their name for the first time, every time a teacher refuses to give up on a student, Amina's spirit rises again, whispering the same words she once spoke beneath a tree. If learning is rebellion, then I will rebel forever.